In this video, we're going to walk through getting started with a terminal use platform. In particular, we're first going to create a simple agent and deploy that to terminal use. And then after that, we're going to look at how we could do a more complex one with skills. Let's get started. So to create an agent, I'm going to run the tu-init command. This creates scaffolding for my agents. To deploy the agents, I cd into the folder and run tu-deploy. This creates a Docker image of my agent and pushes it to the terminal use platform. Now, while this is deploying, let's quickly have a look at the scaffolding that was created. So it's a Python project, and inside the Python project, there's an agent.py file. Let's quickly explore what an agent looks like on the terminal use platform. The most important import over here is the agent server import. Agent server is a fast API server that lets terminal use communicate with your agents. There are three handlers that you need to implement: onCreate, onEvents, and onComplete, which track the lifecycle of a task. Every handler has a context variable that's injected. This context variable contains all the modules you need to communicate to terminal use from your agents. One of the modules that we have is the state module. The state module allows you to store any arbitrary key value pair that you need for your agent run. And over here, we're storing session ID. Session ID is a Claude Agent SDK specific variable that's needed so that the Claude Agent SDK knows what session to continue. In the event handler, we basically get the session ID from the state dictionary and then pass that to the Claude Agent SDK. Now, an event is just an envelope of a message. A message can either be a text message or it can be a data message. Over here, we don't support any data messages, and so we raise a value error. Finally, we send the prompt to the Claude Agent SDK, and for every message that's received, we send it back to the user using the messages module. Now, let's go check in on an agent. Great, our agent is now deployed. So let's follow the steps. So let's first create a project, and I'm going to call this project demo project. And then after the project is created, I'm going to send it a message to say hello world. Now, what's happening over here is that we're sending a message to the deployed agents and it is streaming the responses back. Getting started with the Claude Agent SDK was as simple as that. Now, let's create a more complex agent that incorporates skills into the agent image. Instead of doing this myself, I'm going to use Claude Code along with the terminal skill to help me do this. The reason is that there's a lot of nuanced information that's difficult to remember that the terminal use skill captures that can help me with this workflow. In particular, what's going to happen is that this skills folder over here needs to be copied and embedded in the agent image. And then after it's embedded in the agent image, it then needs to be mounted to a particular path that the Claude Agent SDK expects the skills to be in. Great. The agent has been deployed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Claude Code to send a message to the deployed agent to actually test the X skill and then save the research as a markdown file to the workspace folder. Great. So now the message completed and the task is done. The messages are streamed back to Claude, so Claude can immediately help you understand what's happening with the agents, and it can also even continue conversations with your agents. While we invoke the agent through the CLI over here, in production, we would actually invoke it from our SDKs. In that case, it's very important for us to have insight into what's actually happening in our agent runs. To get that insight, you can log on to the Terminal Use platform. The Terminal Use platform provides you full details into the messages, events, logs, states, spans, and files that the agent created during its run. So over here, we can see the messages along with the tool calls. Then we can also see the events, which is the event that I said earlier. And then you can also see the state file where you can see the session ID for that session. And then finally, you can also see the files that were created by the agent from this run. And when we go to the Overview tab, you can see all the tasks at a glance, along with the current active deployment, the Git commit for the deployments, as well as the number of tasks and other metrics.